Listen to her story, listen to her journey. Give it up for Charlene.
I'm gonna kill Joel. You have all these like charismatic people who just went, I'm dry as fuck, so I don't know how. So y'all gonna have to bear with me. So my name is Chardline. I am actually from Uplands Corner. I just found out me and Scott are neighbors. So I don't know how I missed the white kid in my neighborhood, but he was there. So there's that. And I actually will be going back to the Croc, paying my $70 enrollment fee and then never coming back again. And then to speak to Jamerson, like, he played the tunes to get all the drinks to me from the guys. Like, thank you. He really knows how to throw down on the ones and twos. So shout out to you guys. You guys have amazing lives, and let's just keep this going. So by day, I actually work in the mayor's office of fair housing and equity. I am a fair housing investigator. That basically just means when landlords do fucked up shit like discriminate against people who have Section 8, they come see me and, slap on the wrist along with some civil infractions and other stuff. I love it because honestly, I could be a tax attorney, I could be in the parking clerk, I could be doing something that's virtually meaningless to me, but I'm actually helping a lot of the people who live in my neighborhood, a lot of the vulnerable communities in the city of Boston. I first started off my career in public service under Mayor Menino. I was an intern in the mayor's youth council, so I kind of just knocked on people's doors in Dorchester, and I'm like, hey, what do you want to see to happen in this neighborhood? They're like, for you to leave. I'm like, all right. So, I understood that I didn't take offense to it because honestly, I don't come from Mormons either. So I was just like, I get it, whatever. So after I graduated that, I went on to Suffolk University. My first year, I think I had a 1.8. I was just chilling. I met Black people for the first time. My mother never really let me out the house to go see like my neighbor Scott. So I was pretty much, I pretty much just like stayed in the house and did nothing. So when I got to Suffolk, there was this place called the fourth floor of Donahue. And that's where I met all the Black people, whether they were from Senegal or from down the street or this place called Malden. It was just amazing. So I was like, oh my gosh, like this was great. That led to me never going to class. That led to me only passing one class, and I think it was like that onboarding freshman class where you just had to show up twice. So when I got the letter saying, hey, you're gonna get kicked out of school, I was like, shit, my mother's gonna beat me. So I know my mother's Haitian, so she'll beat me till she can't beat me anymore. And I'm Haitian American, so I hope to be able to beat my kids till I can't beat them anymore. Just kidding, but not really. I see why she did it. So fast forward to that, someone from the mayor's office was like, hey, I heard you were in the mayor's youth council before. Would you like to be an intern? I'm like, oh yeah, sure, I'll be an intern. So I get there, and as soon as I get there, Mayor Menino's like, what do you want? And I'm like, I was told I'm gonna be, watching your phones. Where are you from? Dorchester. You mean Dorchester? No, just Dorchester. She's like, all right, well, you go see so-and-so and we'll get you started. So I was there. I was actually pretty much cruising. I was bored out of my mind. And that's kind of where my second shift, as I call it, or my second passion came in, which was lifestyle blogging. I know I didn't really fill in a lot, but between internship and where I am now, I was also a wage gap negotiation trainer. So if you're learning, this is more for women, sorry guys, but if you're learning how to go back into the job field, or if you're trying to learn how to evaluate your worth, I have no problem giving you a little one-on-one session because the city gives them to you for free, but I can just sit down with you so you can get it in the rawest form. So while I was an intern, I realized that a lot of my life was kind of like black and white. It was go to school, answer these phones, help with the campaign, go home, pass out at Hong Kong every time Jamerson was playing. It was just very cyclical, and I really needed something more. So I got on Tumblr. You guys are familiar with Tumblr? I don't know if it's still a thing. I know like a lot of the porn, like thumbnails come up if you're all from Tumblr. That's where I saw them at least. But prior to that, there was a lot of people making their name in the blogging field. Now, before seeing bloggers who look like me, it was a lot of white women, blue eyes, super thin, probably see them like drinking macchiato somewhere on Newbury Street. Like, that's what I saw, and I was like, oh, that seems like a fabulous life. And then I stumbled upon this girl named A Thick Girl's Closet, who actually happens to be one of my great friends. And, oh, where's the magician at? Well, I could connect to her now because we became roommates when we went to Ghana, so there. I've connected with all of y'all. So we were roommates for like a big blog press trip to Ghana, but I'll get to that after that back. So I started following her and I was like, oh my gosh, like, look at her. She's a plus size woman. She can dress very fashionably, and she's talking about she's getting free clothes. At that time, being in front of a computer and just answering phones led to me buying from Rainbows. And if you guys know Rainbows, it's like shitty little store, but you know, don't sleep on them. Buying from Rainbows every single day, just ordering away like, ooh, this is nice. But like Rainbows can add up. Like I would get a check for like $800 and there goes $600. And then just for me to go back to Hong Kong and wear it. Like there was no real reason for me to be shopping. So I was like, let me see how she's doing this. All she really is doing is posting her outfits and putting them on the internet. They weren't even high quality pictures. So I was like, I can do this. So, you know, I got myself a little like the dustiest little mirror you can find, all right? So dusty. And I just started taking pictures and I was like, all right, tuck it in, suck in the fupa. I took the picture. So I was doing that for a little bit, and the guy at the time that I was dating, he was like, hey, you seem to really love doing this. And I'm like, yeah, you know, I do. He's like, hey, how about you do this like professionally? And I'm like, professionally? Like do it? He's like, yeah, do it. And I'm like, all right, well, I don't know where to start. He's like, well, I have a camera that I bought for him because I was in love with him. So I was like, I guess we might as well put that to work, right? So we start to take these pictures in the middle of the street in my house. At that time, I was of the bloggers that had, I want to say semi to higher quality pictures, because we're talking about using like a DSLR. And from there, it went from just buying clothes and then returning them because I knew I couldn't afford them. And then talking about, look at these clothes that I got. And believe it or not, bloggers still do that today. They do not all own Gucci, YSL, and all that stuff. They either rent it or they buy it and they return it. I don't even want to rent it because that's still too expensive for me. So, well, I'd rather just work with the brands directly, and eventually I'll get to the luxury brands. But today, this has have snowballed into a 120K following across all my social media platforms, and it's still growing. The first gig that I got was with a brand called Ashley Stewart. They actually have a store based in Roxbury, like right in Dudley, but they are a national brand. You love Ashley? Yeah, girl, you know, when you got fill in your curves. Exactly. You know, so a part of the reason, and I never really talked about it because I'm not looking at the script, but part of the reason why I started my blog is because, especially in Boston, I did not see an outlet for plus size women to feel beautiful. Like it was always, you know, Boston's pretty white. Like, let's just say what it is. Like, it's very white. There's lots of color, but like when it's looking at the fashion scene, when you're looking at Boston Fashion Week, it is very absent of larger women and is very absent of Black women. And so I just wanted to throw my hat in there. I just didn't understand or know that it could become something that I would capitalize off, something that I would make more money than I do in my day job. I didn't know that it would be something that would lead me to making great friends like Stephond right there. And she's also a blogger herself, so I don't even know why she's not up here talking, but she is amazing. You should follow her as well, Vonna Black. And it kind of has had a lot of hardship. I would have to say a lot of hardship. Being turned away from brands because of how you look, because you don't fit the mold, is something that I have to deal with all the time, just all the time, actually. I think this happened like 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, anyways, I was invited on a press trip with Neutrogena. Neutrogena came to Boston to film a commercial about their new I think it's rapid wrinkle repair something. And I'm like, go figures, you're gonna ask a black girl with perfect skin to talk about wrinkle repair. Like, I'm not getting wrinkles for a long time. It's not gonna crack. So, but, I mean, maybe that's why they picked me, the facade, who knows. But when I was in the room amongst all the women, there was one other black girl who, you know, she was featured once maybe, and then myself. And I was like, yo, I was the catch-all. I was the fat black girl. They just used me for everything. This is not right, because there should be more inclusivity at this. There should be different people represented. But in the end, I can't tell Neutrogena what to do with their marketing dollars. That's not my brand, and I'm not here to dictate what you should do. But a lot of it was an afterthought. A lot of it was like, brands do a lot of things for optics. And I can't fault them for that, because I don't fund them. So today, as far as where I see myself going with my brand, I have no clue. Like, I know YouTube is the thing, so I kind of want to move in that direction. Just the other day, I threw out the idea of moving to LA once I finished getting my master's at BU in city planning in May. But the nexus that I like to make between both my blog and my career in public service is serving people, helping plus-size women know that you have options out there, and it's not just solely restricted to fashion. I talk a lot about body positivity. I don't talk about, like, I know a lot of people challenge me, like, body positivity, well, you're promoting obesity. I'm not promoting obesity. I'm not telling you not to take care of yourselves, but I'm telling you that you can love yourself the way that you look. You do not need to look like someone else to love yourself. Do not wait on that. So that is something that I constantly preach. Well, probably not preach, more so just like, it's kind of implied at this point, but more so I let people know, like, you know, you don't have to look like someone else in order to live. I tell them to live your best fat life. And if you want to change, then change. I'm not against anyone who elects to get surgery or, you know, who elects to look differently, because I don't wake up with the demons that you do every day, but I do like to lead that life of service where I get to encourage women that, hey, you know, you can shop here and feel great. I wear two-piece bikinis sometimes, and while some people are probably like, what the fuck? I had one guy like say, throw Shamu back in the ocean. I'm like, heard that, whatever. But I'm still gonna do it anyways. Why? Because this brand called Swimsuits for All paid $3,000 so I can wear it on this vacation, whereas you had to pay for this vacation your damn self and be crusty in the corner. So, you know, it's one of those things where 2018 body shaming needs to come to an end. I mean, honestly, we have a fat ass president. I mean, he got up there, so the next fat ass could get up there and do very well. You know, so I don't know if you've heard of Ann Taylor Loft. I can tell you the last 4 that I'm about to work with and coming up. Ann Taylor Loft, I did a campaign with them and actually an in-store launch of their plus size clothing. Macy's, I was featured on Kohl's website. I've done Sears, I've done Old Navy, yes, I've done a lot. I've been doing it since 2000, like I've been getting paid since 2015, so there's a lot in between there. I think one of my favorite brands, Savannah will probably know better, I don't know, it's just a lot. Like there's a lot of brands that I've worked with. I mean, I've also worked like with skincare brands, with CoverGirl, with Neutrogena, with Revlon. So there's been a lot that kind of happened in between. And the way bloggers work is we kind of work based on marketing their services, whether it's hosting an event or posting about a product launch. I don't know if you guys know much about what bloggers do, but it's really hard. My weekends are really just dedicated to blogging. And when my boss is not looking, you know, there. And when I'm in my GIS course, there too. But, you know, blogging is really a thankless job, but it's not easy. There's a lot of tech. I work with a lot of tech people because I don't want to code for hours. I don't want to sit there and waste my time when I could actually just be in my Think Lab, which I spend 90% of my time kind of thinking of things to do. I was featured on Chronicle. They did a segment on me and what I do in the blogosphere. They talked to one Asian girl who was on the thinner side, or I guess she was a size 0, and then they're like, all right, we're gonna juxtapose to a size 20. So then they started talking about what I did as a plus size blogger and some of the Boston Curvy Fashion Week stuff that I brought to Boston along with the rest of the team for Boston Curvy Fashion Week. Yes, so Instagram, Facebook, and my blog have been like my primary drivers because many brands, they'll have a campaign and they'll say, these are the stipulations, we need a post on here, here, and here, can you deliver? And they kind of just look at how my audience responds before they actually reach out to me. 90% of the gigs that I receive are brands coming to me. And I even have professional people do that work for me, and I just pay them like $60 a month for them to kind of tell me like, what is my audience doing? How are they responding? What is my engagement rate? I know that there are even free websites that do it, but again, when you're someone who has a full-time and then you're also in grad school, and I'm also an avid traveler, I just got back from Uber Soca Cruise, like you kind of learn to manipulate your resources so that you get the most out of your time. So I didn't bring any cards, but if you guys are following the Moonlighters page, and I will spell it, it's just super long in Haitian. It's CHARDLINE, last name Chanel, like the brand, all one word. You know, I think they caught on, like a lot of times I'll sneak out during my lunch break and like go get my face beat real quick and then come back in an outfit like this, and they're like, well, where the fuck do you think you're going? Not the courthouse. Like, and I'm just like, oh, you know, just had a lipstick on your teeth, red lipstick. I'm like, shit, all right, the gag is. And they've been very supportive, if anything. I think they realize that people have lives outside of work, and we can't even survive on the minimum wage that they provide here. So if they were to be like, I'm sorry, we don't agree with what you do. I mean, a lot of my stuff isn't not ethical. I may swear, I may talk about sex and other stuff, but in the end, I mean, they're pretty supportive. Just don't do it on our time. And I haven't got caught yet. All right, well, thank you for listening to my story, y'all.